There are moments in sports that go beyond statistics, beyond wins and losses, beyond contracts and salary caps. They touch something deeper: legacy, identity, the need to close a circle that was left open. We are living one of those moments right now, and most people have no idea it's happening. LeBron James is 40 years old. He just became the oldest player in NBA history to be named an All-Star for the 22nd time, 22. A number so absurd that it almost stops making sense when you say it out loud. And yet, somehow, the most important story surrounding LeBron James right now has nothing to do with what he's doing on the court. It has everything to do with what's being quietly engineered off it. Today, we're going to break down a strategy that almost nobody is talking about. A financial move by the Cleveland Cavaliers that looks like routine business on the surface. But when you understand what it really means, it reads like a carefully written invitation. An invitation addressed to one person, and one person only. Stay with me, because this story is bigger than basketball. Let's establish something clearly before we go any further, because it matters more than people realize. LeBron James is not hanging on. He is not a ghost of himself collecting a paycheck in Los Angeles while the front office figures out what to do next. He is averaging 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 1 assist per game at 40 years old. Those are not good for his age numbers. Those are just good numbers, full stop. Put them on any player in the league and nobody raises an eyebrow. And then there's the triple-double he recorded recently, making him the oldest player in league history to accomplish that in a single game. 30 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists at 40. That's not athletic preservation. That's defiance. That's a man refusing to let time win. Here's why this matters so much for the larger conversation. Whatever happens next with LeBron James is not going to be driven by desperation. It's not going to be a player looking for a soft landing, a ceremonial farewell, a place to fade away quietly. If LeBron James makes a move, any move, it will be from a position of strength. It will be a choice, not a retreat. And that distinction changes everything about how we have to read what Cleveland is doing right now. Now let's talk about something that slipped under the radar for most casual fans. Something that looked, on the surface, like standard front office housekeeping. Around the trade deadline, while the rest of the league was generating headlines with blockbuster deals and last-minute swaps, the Cleveland Cavaliers did something quietly. They trimmed their payroll. No major trade, no splash, just a deliberate surgical reduction of their financial commitments. In isolation, it means nothing. Teams manage their books all the time, but context is everything. Cleveland already has a strong team. A young, talented core that is genuinely competing at the top of the Eastern Conference. They are not a franchise in rebuild mode, desperately clearing space to attract any available talent. They are a contender making room with intention, and when a contending team deliberately opens financial flexibility right before the most active period of roster movement in the league, you have to ask the obvious question: who are they making room for? Think about what LeBron James returning to Cleveland would actually mean, not just for the basketball side of things, though that conversation is fascinating on its own, but for everything around it, the cultural weight of it, the narrative gravity. This is a player who left Cleveland in 2010 in a departure that fractured a city, who came back in 2014, who delivered a championship in 2016 that ended a 52-year drought for a fan base that had suffered longer than most, who carried a team on his back against a 3-1 deficit and came through. Cleveland did not just love LeBron James. Cleveland needed him, and he delivered. The Cavaliers clearing payroll space is not just a financial decision, it's a message, sent in the only language that truly matters in the NBA. Cap space, flexibility, room for a maximum contract. Room for a king. Let's talk about the difference between a rumor and a signal. NBA rumors are constant noise. Every day, something is being reported, leaked, speculated, floated by agents, denied by teams, and recycled by social media. Most of it evaporates within 48 hours. Fans who have followed the league long enough learn to filter it out almost automatically. But then there are moments when the noise stops, and something with real weight surfaces. Tim McMahon of ESPN, one of the most credible and well-sourced reporters covering the league, recently described what he called rampant speculation inside NBA circles about LeBron James finishing his career in Cleveland, not retiring with the Lakers, finishing in Cleveland. McMahon is not a clickbait journalist. He does not traffic in manufactured drama. When he characterizes something as widespread speculation within the league, that is not gossip. That is a reflection of real conversations happening in real rooms between real decision makers. And there is another layer here that is easy to miss. The NBA is, at its core, a storytelling business. The league's value is inseparable from the narratives it generates. And there are very few narratives more powerful, more commercially compelling, and more emotionally resonant than LeBron James returning to Cleveland for one final chapter. The television numbers, the merchandise sales, the global media attention. Every executive in the league office understands exactly what that story would be worth when credible journalists start openly discussing a storyline like this, and when the financial infrastructure to support it is simultaneously being built by the team in question. That is not coincidence. That is momentum. Let's pull everything together, because individually, each of these pieces is interesting. Together, they form something much more significant. LeBron James is still performing at a high level. Whatever comes next for him is a decision made from strength, not necessity. That's piece one. The Cleveland Cavaliers reduced their payroll around the trade deadline. Creating cap flexibility with no obvious immediate target. That's piece two. Tim McMahon of ESPN is reporting widespread speculation inside the league about LeBron ending his career in Cleveland. Speculation that is not coming from fans on Twitter, but from people inside the league. That's piece three. Now look at those three things side by side. The Lakers, for their part, seem to have underestimated the pull of this. Whether it's a failure to recognize the emotional gravity Cleveland holds for LeBron, or an assumption that a player of his stature would never walk away from Los Angeles, they appear to be losing a competition they may not even know they're in, because here's the truth that gets to the heart of it. LeBron James can finish his career with the Lakers and close out a legacy of excellence in one of the most glamorous cities in the world. That is an honorable ending. That is a good story. But only in Cleveland can he finish a legend. Only in Cleveland can he close the full circle. The kid from Akron who promised a city a championship, who left, who came back, who delivered, and who chose, in the end, to write the final pages of his story in the place where it all began. That is not just a good story. That is the kind of story that outlives the sport. What Cleveland is building right now is not a contract offer. It is a proposal of immortality. And for a man who has always played with one eye on how history will remember him, no offer from Los Angeles can match that. So we arrive at the only question that really matters at the end of all this. Does the king come home? The ingredients are there. The player still has something left. The franchise created the space. The conversation is already happening inside the league. The narrative is being written, whether anyone officially acknowledges it or not. The NBA has always been a league built on great stories, and the greatest stories tend to come full circle. Drop your take in the comments. Do you think LeBron finishes in Cleveland? Do you think the Cavaliers' strategy works? Or do you believe the Lakers have something up their sleeve that changes the equation entirely? If this gave you a different perspective on what's actually happening behind the headlines, share it with someone who loves the game. Subscribe if you want to be here when the next chapter breaks, because this story is still being written, and the ending might be better than any of us expected.